Kyle here from allmusic.blogspot.com. I've decided just to do the countdown now for the Deer Hunter videos, the album rankings, full-length studio album rankings. I am taking one liberty with it, but for the most part, it's a total of 7, I believe. Yeah, 7, proper studio albums. The upcoming record will be a full-length album called Antimine, will be the 8th proper studio album. I don't count the Dear Misleading demos, and a few of the others I'll go over after this. So I'm just going to go through the countdown, 7 through 1, in effect, at what it is. So, number 7, as much as I love it, I love a lot of it, I have Migrant from 2013. I'm not going to show the vinyl, but I'll just... There it is, and then I'll... Even adding in the Migration Annex, it still ends up number 7. But it speaks more to the quality of the Deer Hunter catalog than the quality or lack thereof of this record, because there's a lot of quality, a lot of really good music on this record, especially when you include the Migration Annex. So I'm not sure if it'll ever change, but it still ends up being that. So number 7, Migrant from 2013, or Migrant/Migration Annex from 2013. Number 6, Act 3, Life and Death from 2009. A record I probably at one point almost considered my favorite, but love this record. Why I would not put it as high as some of the others, largely because it doesn't have it has a lot of great tracks, but I think it's sort of the whole process, it's not as awe-inspiring. I guess you could say it's memorable to an extent, but it's sort of, the plot is kind of dark at points. I don't know, it's one of those records where there's only one track I just kind of sticks out, and there's a lot of tracks like Mustard Gas, and What It Means to Be Alone, and they're catchy, memorable. Life and Death, the End of Father, I love, but it speaks to the quality of the catalog. Any other band's catalog, this could easily be number 1, but this is number 6. Of course, this is the repressing of... This is the wrong one. I had the wrong one. The thing is, these repressings... this is Act 3, isn't it? No. I had this all in order, and then I screwed myself up. Act 3. Well, I had the right CD, at least. I have the deluxe edition, too. Anyway, Act 3, Life and Death. They repressed the records on vinyl. They original press. They did some different artwork, as you can see, as I did on the previous videos. Anyway, Act 3, Life and Death, comes in at number 6. So number 5, if I'm doing this right here. I guess the CDs I have in the correct order. Yeah, I'll just have to. I'll go by my compact discs. I thought I had this in the right order, but I didn't. Act 5, the Hymns with the Devil and Confessional. Great record, long record, polished production. Very, it has light, and it has, a ton of other moments, callback moments, great melodic sections, great orchestral sections, great conceptual sections, that whole Deer Apparition epic kind of closing and, calling out and everything. It's a record I think over time I still may grow on me more, but I guess to me it's been, it's probably, of all the Axe records, that's probably the one I've listened to the least still, even though it's the most recent. I think I'd be listening to it more, but I've gone back to it the least. But that's not to say, it's, again, Deer Hunter, splitting hairs. The Deer Hunter has a ton of great, all the records are great, and but this comes in at number 5, 2016's Hymns with the Devil and Confessional. So, number 4. Nothing ever goes smoothly with these, of course, but even the short videos. Number 4, the Complete Color Spectrum Collection. Love it. Love a ton of songs on it. Love the whole, greater than the sum of its parts. At one point, I was thinking almost this was my favorite thing, and in some ways, it's the most suggested record for someone who's new to the band, even though it's a daring sort of 9 EP, 36 track collection of songs, and it's not as, would say it's not as proggy, it's not as, it's not as jazzy, or I wouldn't say the jazzy element, it's not as instrumentally technical or instrumentally focused as a lot of their other releases, but at points, but it has enough, and it just has so many moments I enjoy that I just love it, so much of it. I can't for say, at one point I bumped up to 5 stars a couple of years ago, and I probably was a little bit, just wanting to say it's perfect. It's a very ambitious. It's probably the most ambitious. It's a very bold project that Casey and the band pulled off in 2010 and 2011. But when it comes down to it, am I going to listen to this the whole thing over some of the other records? Sometimes over the ones that it finished above, maybe, but the ones that didn't finish above, I can't say I would, but I still love it. That's why I have the whole initial vinyl and the collection, of course, like that. So number 4, the Color Spectrum, the complete collection from the Deer Hunter from 2011. So number 3, and it's moved up, admittedly. A lot of people's favorite, Act 4, Reprise and Rebirth. Even though, like, from beginning to end, the records that are below it almost might be a little bit better, there's so many good songs on this that it just warrants it to be ranked higher. It's a little bit like how when you have some of the best songs on a record, even the songs that aren't as good on the record are at least listenable, and they can get better over time, suggest that the whole record is better. So, and it just warrants more addictiveness and memorability, earworms, and repeated play. So, number 3 from 2015 from the Deer Hunters album rankings, Act 4, Rebirth and Reprise. Number 2, I was showing it earlier. It all started technically, I guess, from 2006, the Lake South, Act 1, the Lake South, the River North. It's got, still probably considered my favorite song, His Hands Matched His Tongue, City Escape, 1878, Pimpin' the Breeze. It's basically a flawless collection of songs. The only real knock on it is it's only like 35 minutes, and for a full-length record, compared to the rest of the catalog, it's a lot shorter. It's like half as long compared to some of them, but I love a 35-minute song when it's done so well, and this is no exception. And, you could say it's an EP, a mini album. It's officially still considered a full-length album in their first full-length album, so it has to go on the list, unlike some of their other EPs. So it's a tremendous record, even though Casey was whatever, he was 22, 20, whatever, how old he was. And, he looked back on it and say, yeah, I've done so much better music. But it's just, it actually stands and holds up over time. When they played it live, was it last year before? It was last year. I was just getting goosebumps and tears in my eyes at points. I just love the music on this thing. The vocal harmonies, the Beach Boys moments, just the dynamics. It's so great, and it's so nostalgic still, even though it's only been, 15 or 16 years. It feels like it's been even longer. It just brings me back to a time from 15 years ago, which I still loved. Even though things, in a lot of ways, were worse for me, things were definitely better for me in some ways then. And, I sometimes long to go back in time at that point. We had W as our president, and we had the Iraqi War and everything. And then to go along that similar lines, number 1, among the Deer Hunter full-length albums at this point, on the tops, the 7-1, Act 2, The Meaning of and All Things Regarding Misleading from 2007. It's absolutely a favorite, an all-time classic of mine. I consider it an all-time classic. Stone Cold all-time classic. It's a long record, certainly. It has moments that meander a little bit, but it's got so much charm. It's got a lot of go-to earworm songs, favorites, nostalgic Red Hands, of course. Smiling Swine, the Lake South, the River, the Lake and the River, Oracle and Delphi Express, Dear Misleading, I love. Even though it's long, it's definitely greater than some of its parts, and when I listen to anything from it, I want to hear the rest of it. And I just have so much nostalgia. I feel like I'm living in 2007, like the summer of 2007 when I listen to this, along with some of those other albums from that same year. Caddisfly Set Sail the Prairie, Between the Buried and Me's Colors Later, Oceanside Frames, and what's the other? Fair to Midlands, Fables of a Mayfly, House of Fools, Live and Learn. And it's such power. Sometimes nostalgia can be so powerful. Yeah, from a songwriting and production standpoint, some of their other records might go toe-to-toe or even trump it. But when it comes down to it, at this point, I still hold some of my memories of falling in love with the band, and with this record. I know Casey and some people don't look at it that same way. but I don't really care. I guess, sometimes nostalgia wins over everything else. Sometimes not, but sometimes it does. So, but again, it's splitting hairs. I mean, literally every record they've released is basically 4 stars or higher. So it's nearly all the music on all the albums I like, if not love. Nearly all the music, and this record I consider perfect for the way it is, for what it is. So anyway, give me your 7 through 1, the Deer Hunter albums. We'll see where Antimai may fall in the whole ranking, or what I call it ranking, how it compares. I guess it's a little unfair. It's a brand new kind of universe. The Indigo Child soundtrack, even though it's listed as a full length, I would consider it just an EP. I like the title track, The Indigo Child, in a lot of ways. I was listening to it again today. It's definitely experimental, and I think it's going to differ a lot from even the Indigo EP in some ways. So, but I'm looking, they just are mastering, right? Mike Watts finished mastering, or is in the process of finished mastering. So, they're going to be going on tour. They pushed their tour dates back till like July and like August maybe. Not coming to Twin Cities, unfortunately, but we'll see, how that goes. My guess is it could come out sometime this summer, even earlier, maybe in a few months. I guess as far as the Deer Hunter stuff goes, I was listening to this today, and I think I may just do an extra video with a bunch of the extras, including this. All Is That All Should Be. The live album is called Live. Maybe the DVD. The DVD from the Color Spectrum I might go over. And then, of course, there's a couple related things that I could talk about again in a future video or two. The Honorary Astronaut, of course, and then The Fox and the Hunt. I can mention, of course, there was a box set that came out with the axe that it was like over $200. A lot of the hardcore fans bought it. Since I have every record on vinyl, I didn't, and I got the double piece too. I mean, as a completist, if it was Kevin Gilbert, I probably would have just bought it anyways, despite that. But I just couldn't see myself putting all that extra money, and people had to wait a long time to get those things. But I mean, part of me wishes I had that box set, the Axe box set, because it had the 6th spot, and it came with The Fox and the Hunt. It came with this, so at least I got this. But maybe someday I'll get it. I don't know. I never got Feed to Feed from Oceansize and some other sort of collectors pieces from favorite bands. But yeah, I'll do at least one, maybe a second video on my live. Like, I got this shirt, I think, at that 2000 show with Say Anything and Megan Dia and Save the Day. I'll kind of try to summarize and talk about my experiences seeing the Deer Hunter live. I've seen him, I think it's like 11 times. Every time it's been in my hometown. But yeah, and then I'll kind of put them to bed until we get into the whole Antimai and the Indigo Child world, and the Deer Hunter world and music kind of is coming back up to surface, and talking about 2022 albums. Antimai certainly is going to be potentially in the mix. I like the Indigo Child soundtrack. It just was a soundtrack. I didn't play it. I did buy it on vinyl. I have it. I should have had it, actually. I didn't. I showed it in a video a few months ago, but anyway, yeah. Give me the Deer Hunter rankings. Where do you rank them? Is it the Color Spectrum -- Is it Act 4 #1? Where do you put Migrant in the mix? Do you put the Migration Annex in the mix? I should probably also mention, if I do that extra video, maybe I'll try to revisit some of the other EPs besides All Is That All Should Be. There's the Random EP 1 and 2. There's also Matchstick something. And there's a couple others. So they have maybe a grand total of other than the Color Spectrum. Oh, and there's the Dear Misleading demos. So I could do a hodgepodge, or maybe 2 of them, before I'm completely finished with all the Deer Hunter. I did have the list here from Rate Your Music. The thing is, it's that's 7 albums total. I had it up. There it is, right there. But they list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Antimai's the 11th. Because they're considering Dear Misleading, the demo, as a full length. They're also considering the Indigo Child as a full length, and the Fox and the Hunt as a full length. So, splitting hairs, it's like the Marillion thing. The new An Hour Before It's Dark, is it number 20 or number 18? Is it number 17, But yeah, they have, besides all the Color Spectrum EPs, Random EP #1, Random EP #2, and then there's the Branches EP. If I can find all the music for this, I probably have it on hard drives, but I don't know if it's on Spotify or YouTube. But then there's the Matchstick demos. I'm not going to bother with the Day Trotter sessions. They've had 2 of them. So just as sort of a complete discography stuff, you know, that's a lot. I'll have to just lightning round it kind of, you know, but it'd be nice if they would put all those EPs out as a box set, just kind of like the Kevin Gilbert stuff. Maybe someday Casey and the band will do that. So, but anyway, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.